And just want to say welcome. So glad everybody is here today with us, of taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We're super excited. We have Jennifer Wilson with us from WKU, the Center for Gifted Studies. In our last meeting, we had some conversation around TIP Kentucky when Dr. Julia Roberts was with us. And some of you had mentioned a interest in having Dr. Wilson come on with us to discuss that in more detail because that is relatively new since Duke Dip went out a few years back. So I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer. And Jennifer, just thank you so much for being here with us today. We so appreciate you taking your time to be with us. And we know you're super busy, but just know you're greatly appreciated. I can't hear you.
We appreciate you inviting us back to talk a little bit about TIP Kentucky. I realize we've been around it for a few years now, but of course, people change positions and there's constantly new things happening at the schools that might allow you to do some things that you hadn't done previously. So this may be a review for some of you. I know we've done some Zoom calls and met in person before. But for those of you that are new, you are more than welcome, as well as people that are not new, to reach out and ask me questions later, as often this information needs to be processed, and then perhaps later you'll have more questions. So feel free to call me or email me at any time. But this program is all about seeing and serving our gifted and talented. Let me try to get this working. It worked earlier. The Talent Identification Program of Kentucky, as Mary mentioned, is relatively new. When Duke Tip went out, and many of you may be familiar with Duke Tip, but what I'm finding more and more in the schools, even a lot of the educators are not as familiar with Duke Tip. And basically, that was the talent identification program that Kentucky used along with 15 other states. During the pandemic, they closed everything. They closed all their programming, their above level assessments, etc. So Dr. Julia Roberts, who is our executive director for the Center of Gifted Studies, she said, we've got to have something in place to help teachers, educators, families who are in need of this option for their students. So that's kind of where it started. And we did a pilot in 2021. And then 21 was just really the start, but in 22 and 23 is when it really kicked off for the different grade levels. And of course, the whole purpose of TIP Kentucky is to identify and support academic talent. Looking back now, and I know they went back and forth on what they were going to call the program, and it kind of makes it sound like it's just identifying the student, but actually the program is more holistic than that. The above level assessments, as we'll talk about, do the identifying, but also supporting the academic talent, which is something the center has done for years. As you all know, you've had students, I'm sure, that have perhaps attended some of our residential summer programs or other programming. The three main components for TIP Kentucky are the above level assessments, which is the new segment, programming, which we've been doing for 40 plus years, and the recognition we have done in partnership with Duke Tip for years, probably, I want to say 4 decades, but I'd have to have Dr. Roberts to confirm that, but it's been a long time. So this new recognition is based on the above level assessments that we are now doing for the state of Kentucky. I don't know if we have a little time. This little video is just 2 minutes. So I think this is a good little thing. The reason I like to show it to educators, I know I'm preaching to the choir with all of you, but it does give you an idea of why we would do above level assessments. There's a lot of assessments that you do in the school, and perhaps some of you are doing some adaptive. I think probably all of you are doing adaptive testing. The above level assessments is a little different. And the more information you have for these high ability learners, the better to be able to help them with where they need to be challenged. So I'm just going to play this little 2-minute video because this is also on our website. If you have families asking about it, you can use it as a point of reference. There's 2 links here. I'm just going to show you the one over here on the left. Oh, or maybe I'm not. You probably can't hear that, can you? Can you hear that?
No, not being able to hear it. Did you share your sound when you shared your screen? There's an option when you click share. When you click to share, there's an option to share your sound. Did you do that?
Did you see the picture at all when I did that?
No, you will have to stop share. You'll have to stop your PowerPoint and select it. Select where the video's pulled up.
Oh, okay.
So stop
Yes.
sharing. You'll want to stop sharing.
Sorry, one moment.
Oh, you are fine. You are fine. Zoom is always,
Um,
sometimes I have a hard time finding my Zoom bar. So if you will go click on your little Zoom icon, it'll a lot of times pull it right up for you.
you know what? I think I'm going to, rather than,
I can also go find it and share it if you want me to, because it's on the website, right?
yeah, that's what I was going to do. I always struggle with this, getting the video to work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it on here other than the PowerPoint. Hmm.
And Lady Gaga have in
Now
common?
we can hear it.
The answer may surprise you. They were all above-level testers when they were young. They joined millions of other students who have taken an above-level test in the last 50 years. So you might be asking, what is above-level testing? It is exactly what it sounds like. Give a younger student a test that was developed for older students. Why take an above-level test? How is this meaningful? Above-level tests can help reveal your child's actual performance level. Often grade-level tests are too easy for high-achieving and gifted children, since most regular tests are designed to measure whether students have learned grade-level material. But they don't spend much time measuring whether students have learned more than that. We call this phenomenon a ceiling effect. Above-level tests remove the ceiling to show the full extent of how much students know. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine we want to measure the height of every child in a class, and we decide to use a 4-foot ruler to take these measurements. Would we be able to accurately measure the height of every child who is below 4 feet tall? Definitely. But what about the children taller than 4 feet? What information would we be missing about them? Would we say they are all 4 feet tall, even though there is clearly a difference in heights? Would we guess and hope for the best? Even within one classroom, we might find that our ruler cannot measure every child accurately. However, if the ruler could expand to 6 feet, 7 feet, or even greater, we can measure each child's height precisely. Above-level testing can provide this type of accurate information for a student's academic ability level. The more we know about what students are ready to learn, the more equipped we are to offer appropriate curriculum challenges and enrichment opportunities.
Are you all still there?
Yep, we're still here. That is a good little video.
That's actually, I meant to pull up the other one. I haven't seen that one for a while. I think the analogy is good, but sometimes parents don't always, the other one might be a little easier to relate to. Are you all seeing my PowerPoint again?
No.
No. I'm really struggling with my, here we go. Okay. And this just gives you what they said, basically. The above level assessments, they're breaking that academic ceiling for those students that are above their grade level, and you're trying to figure out where they are per subject area. And of course, it's nice that it is determined by different subjects. Some people ask, is there a creativity component? There is not. It's mainly math, science, English, and reading is what they're being assessed on. And of course, depending on the testing that you do, the in-school administration for the younger kids, the school educators do get an educator report in addition to individual reports. So that's very meaningful for you when you're working to see, what class placement or, what challenges you might need for the different students. And of course, this is data to help inform you. No data, as you know, is absolute, but it does give you some more meaningful information for students that are higher ability. And I think that's very helpful. The more information you can have, the more meaningful it will be for the students in their learning process. And we have right now 2 tests, depending on the grade level that they're in. Students that are in 4th through 6th grade that are high ability have been taking the IXL. And of course, students in middle school are taking the ACT. So as you can see, the ACT, which is normally for high school students and middle schoolers taking that would be an above level assessment. I think a critical piece with the ACT is how you inform parents. I think that's why it's really important for them to understand the purpose of above level assessments, because I get lots of families emailing, calling, saying, do we need to do test preparation? And I, of course, tell them, no, you don't need to do test preparation. That kind of actually defeats the purpose of what we're trying to find out. You're trying to find out what their baseline or what the ceiling is. So prepping for the test, which ACT does a lot of promotion, as you know, on that, is not necessarily what I would recommend for students who are taking the ACT in middle school for the first time. IXL is designed for 8th grade students. So kids that are in 4th, 6th, and 8th, or I'm sorry, 4th, 5th, and 6th are taking it as an above level assessment. Typically the IXL is administered at the school. We do offer limited testing here on campus for people who can drive in. I think that'd be a long little trek from Hazard, but certainly students have done it before. We've had students that have traveled from Louisville area to come in for an IXL. And they're both the math, science, English, and reading. The eligibility criteria for these programs is a little different than just regular identification for GT students. So I like to inform people, we try to make this more as equitable as possible for students. And we recognize that students may have capabilities. You may recognize students who have capabilities that didn't necessarily score high in a subject area on the iReady or MAP or STAR, whatever test you might be using. So we look at the top 10% on a standardized test. It could be a statewide or nationally normed test. You could use the iReady, STAR, MAP. I think most of the schools use one of those. Is there a certain test that they use in your area, Mary, or any of you want to respond to that?
A lot of them have some different things. I think Morgan might use iReady. Ronnie, do you all use MAP? Yeah. And then I think Pike will use STAR, I think. Is that correct, Ms. Clevenger? And then
yes, we use STAR.
Okay. And
so
then,
any of those tests would be applicable. I believe they're all nationally normed. Some teachers choose to use, a couple to look at it if they're maybe close, but certainly it doesn't have to be in every subject area. They can score in the top 10% on one subject area, and that would allow them to be eligible. And of course, there are exceptions to any rule. If you have a family that is passionate and determined for their child to take this test, what's it going to hurt? They're either going to find out some tough realities of what the scores are, or we might find out something more in depth that the student may be eligible for a higher class or coursework. And of course, the interpretations is the piece that is very meaningful. You get these interpretations once the tests are done. They come in different ways. If it's at the school, I send the school works directly with the Bell and Blank Center right now. ACT, it's more family-based. So it's basically you inform the families your student has qualified and is eligible, then it's on the family to register. So the older kids, it's more family-based, and it's a little trickier to get their test scores if the family forgets, or there's just a lot of little things that have to follow through for them to get the test scores to us. And then we're looking at the future of getting some approval to maybe send those scores to you. But right now it's more it's to the family's discretion what they do with the ACT scores and the reports. And of course, we're continuing the recognition ceremony. Our ceremony this spring is May 23rd, so you might have some students. I'd have to look, and you're more than welcome to email me to ask to see if you have any students that have qualified. We are cutting it off a little bit earlier this year, so the end of February is the dates to qualify for this year. If they qualify after that, then we will invite them to the next year's recognition ceremony. So they'll be invited, it just may not be this year. Upcoming test dates, the registration deadline has already passed for the April test date. We have 2 more test dates in June and July. So, and there's the deadlines up here. So if you know students that might qualify, you can always let them know they're eligible for the ACT test deadline. And of course, IXL is more school driven, and you can determine by registering your school for an IXL test. I will say we are looking at a new pilot program for our younger kids. So we may have some news in the near future in terms of the above level assessments for the younger kids. And it's kind of phasing out at the Iowa due to their testing norm statistics. So we're looking at some more updated information and a pilot program for it'll be a similar system, but it may be a different test.
Jennifer, like when that comes out, could any of our districts like volunteer to help pilot some of those things that you all are going to be doing for the test?
I can certainly put you down if you have schools that are interested. We have a school right now that is piloting, I believe in mid-April, but I will certainly, if anyone's interested, I would love to get your name and number, because we may want to do some more piloting in the future. Excellent. That would be great. Thanks. And of course, this is from Dr. Roberts herself. What's good for gifted kids? And you all know all this, but it's just worth mentioning again. Learning that focuses on high interest topics, working with peers of similar ability levels is critical. Environments that are safe and encourage risk-taking and opportunities to develop your confidence. And of course, we have lots of opportunities for kids of different age levels. We have, this is a wonderful opportunity that I don't think enough schools are aware of, and it's relatively new, but we had 2 doctors in Glasgow who donated and created this endowment for service learning opportunities. So every year in the fall, students can apply for grants, and there's different types. There's a couple of different grants. One is for students who've already attended some of our programming. The other one is for any Kentucky students in grades 7 through 12. And the scores, or I'm sorry, the grants are actually $1,500, $1,000, and $500. So if you have a student who's perhaps doing an incredible service learning project, maybe they're doing it for Beta, maybe they're doing it for Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, they could apply for this program and possibly get some really good grant money to continue the program. And of course, this is for students who've actually participated in SCATS, VAMPI, or the Gatton Academy, and they have little micro grants available for them, which are $500 each. We have an idea festival. I don't know if any of you participated in it this year, but it was a phenomenal turnout. We had Oh gosh, it was a beautiful day. We were so lucky. I think the year before it was like completely pouring down rain. Schools were even closed due to flooding. This year the weather was beautiful and we had about 900 students registered. So it was a great day. We had speakers that came in and talked in the morning that were experts in various fields. And then in the afternoon, they all went and did hands-on activities at the student union that hopefully encouraged them and inspired them to be creative and innovative and look at some things maybe they hadn't thought about before. We have travel excursions that 8th grade through high school honor students can go on. Julia started this program, gosh, it's been over 30 years ago. And typically, with the exception of the pandemic, they had fall excursions and we're heading to France for April. And it's to encourage students who might not otherwise, they go in a safe environment with a group of people, educators and chaperones. You can bring a family member if you want, but you don't have to, because Dr. Roberts has, she always goes and brings chaperones, and it's to encourage students to think globally and look beyond. There is actually a scholarship available for people in need. So if somebody is really passionate and wants to go on a trip, there is that opportunity. SCATS is our 2-week residential program. Keeping an eye on time here. I don't know if some of you have had students who've done this, but as Julia had mentioned, that it's so important for students to be involved with like-minded peers. And that's kind of what SCATS and VAMPI are all about. SCATS is a little shorter. It's 2 weeks, residential. I know 2 weeks seems like a long time for some parents who have a kid who's never been away from home. I would recommend SCATS to anyone who's a high ability or eager to learn. They take 4 classes a day, and then at night they have all sorts of fun creative activities that they do with the residential counselors that live with them. During the day they're with their teachers, and then they have lunch with the counselors. It's an amazing opportunity to be around kids that like similar things that your students might like. We're going to skip over that for the sake of time. VAMPI is a 3-week residential program. And again, all of these are encouraged to help ignite interest, or if a student has a spark of interest, maybe you've got a kid at your school that just is in love with math or political science or just science in general, like physics. A lot of students will do this because they're focused on one particular subject area. VAMPI is you focus on one class for 3 weeks, and they live where the GAT students live, like they do for SCATS, but they do for 3 weeks. There is a requirement of an ACT score. If you have students you think that might be interested and they've missed the test date, still reach out to us and we can maybe see what we can do to, if they're very interested in getting them in, we could work with the schools to maybe get some educational reports that would be supplemental data if they don't have the SAT or the ACT scores. But this is an incredible program. Some of your schools may not even offer physics, for example. This would be a great opportunity for a student to take a class that they might not have offered at their school. And these other programs are day programs, and I realize you all are a little bit further away, but we actually do have families that come in. If they're really wanting to do a program, they'll come spend the night Friday night and their kid will do Super Saturdays. Or maybe if you have family that's in the area, they could come stay with family and then do the Camp Explore for the week. And of course, I like to mention the Gatton Academy. I know we've had students from probably most of your counties. It's an amazing opportunity for the students that fit the mold for this. It's not under the umbrella of the center, but we have kind of a dotted line. Of course, we're housed at the Gatton Academy down in the first level. So they're all above us upstairs in the residential hall. But these are juniors and seniors. in high school that are living on campus and taking college classes. So when they graduate high school, they will also have 2 years of academic college credit under their belt. And they can also have the associate degree if they choose to. So it's really a wonderful opportunity. And my own son did the program, and it just was like catapulted him to a whole world he never even thought about. And I think that's what it helps you do, is it helps you to look at other opportunities, international study. There's research opportunities. I can't stress that enough. If you've got a kid at your school that you think would be a good fit for research, it's one of the few programs where you can really dive in and do research with professors on campus at the high school level. And I guess until my son started doing research at the college level, I didn't realize what an amazing opportunity that really is. So there's just wonderful things about the Gatton Academy. And of course, I left this in here for families, but it also speaks to you as well. If you aren't subscribing to our monthly updates, I highly recommend you to go to our wku.edu/gifted, and there's a subscribe on the side so you can get monthly updates, and that'll keep you informed about registration deadlines and things that are coming up, or maybe just reminder that, oh, service learning opportunity deadline is in 2 months. So those are nice things to do as well. Excuse me, my voice is going out. And also, of course, I encourage you to get involved with CAGE, which is housed in the center's area, even though they're a separate program, as you all probably are well aware of CAGE and its benefits. And I thank you. I hope I ran over a minute. Sorry.
You are perfectly all right. Do not worry. We will take you longer. We're happy to have you. Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer? I know you may have to go and go someplace else, Jennifer, but does anybody have any questions? So just a little clarification for me, and maybe this is just maybe like if I have a kid who is interested in doing the ACT, that is a 7th grader, and they take it, is there like a process, like I need to contact you to be able to let that show up for you all? How does that work? Do we get the code?
So I'm glad you asked that, because we actually have an educator toolkit on our website. There's a little button when you go to the grade 7 and 8. If you go to TIP Kentucky, it's going to take you to all of it. Then there's 2 buttons. One says grades 4 through 6 and one says 7 and 8. So if you go into the 7 and 8, I believe that's where the toolkit is. And basically it just gives you a suggested process. You don't have to let us know. It's nice if we can know. You can give me a heads up and just say, hey, I sent this letter out to my families. What a lot of the teachers will do is they'll figure out who's eligible, and then they'll send a letter to the family saying congratulations. And there's a little sample letter you can just use and tweak and modify to your school situation. But you send a letter to the families, and then you give them the information, and it's really on them from there. So it's twofold. I mean, from your standpoint, you're educating them and informing them, but then it's on the family to do it. At rare situations, I have some schools where the teacher has helped the students, because whether it's a barrier of English as a second language, families who've never had a kid who've gone to college or done anything like this, that are just completely uninformed on what to do and where to go, just those kind of situations. Teachers sometimes will help the students get registered, but for the most part, the families have to help with that, because all the information is about the student and the parent, typically. So that's kind of how the process is. And then the information we get the test scores if they fill it out correctly, but they have to put in a code to ACT to let ACT know to send us the scores. But we explain all that to them in the email. So if they follow the directions, it should all work out, but sometimes they forget that code. They never forget the voucher code because they have to pay for that. And we do have free and reduced lunch rates. So if you have a family that is free and reduced lunch, the normal price is $95 because ACT is $69, I believe now, unless they've gone up again. They go up every year. And then the report costs a big chunk of that as well. So that the free and reduced lunch is $20. For IXL, it's $22. Not sure why we did that to ourselves, but it's $22 for the younger kids and it's $20 for the ACT. We actually have for ACT, we asked them to give us a teacher's contact information and an email so we can confirm with the school that they are free and reduced lunch. We don't need to see paperwork. We trust the schools, but families get confused because a lot of these schools are CEP program free and reduced lunch. So they think, oh, I'm free and we are a free and reduced lunch school. That's not, and we explain that, but people read over that or miss that. They have to qualify individually for free and reduced lunch, not based on the school. Otherwise, pretty much everyone would have free and reduced lunch rate, and this would not be sustainable. So that's kind of how that works.
Awesome. I appreciate you bringing that because we do have a lot of students in our region that would qualify individually for free and reduced lunch. So that's nice that you provide that as some options too. Does anybody else have any questions? Or you can drop them in the
quiet.
Chat. Yes, it's Monday.
Well, and I know this may be repeat information we try to have a seminar at the Cage program, at the conference. We try to give him, but new things come up, and next year when we have a new above level assessment, there'll probably be a little bit of information that we'll have to inform people about. So we'll probably continue to have more meetings about that. But it's a great opportunity. I know testing is a huge thing at this time of the year, just your regular testing. That when does yours start? March, April, May?
State testing is the last 14 days of instruction. So, and a lot of our schools are getting out at the end of May, June. So that's when the state assessment is going on.
So it's a little bit later, but I mean, I know you're all gearing up for that, and that's a huge window of your school year. So probably in the fall is when I'll try to really kick off more information about the younger kids. And I don't expect any changes with the middle school group. There may be some changes in the look of the report, but we certainly will still offer the ACT. We have a system, this comes up a lot. Kids that are under 12 can test. If your kid is 12, if you have students who are 12, they have to go through the talent identification program, because now ACT, and even if you call their contact people, they don't even know our system. We have a window of opportunity for those that are under 12, but they have to go through us, and then we have to have a special consent form that we have the family send to ACT. So it's an extra step if they're under 12. If they're 13, they just do the regular process.
Well, that's good to know. Well, it might be good for you to come back and join us in August or September, like when you do have changes. Just kind of remember, anytime there's anything you have to share out, you always have an open invitation with us to be able to come and join us anytime.
Appreciate that. And hopefully I'll have my Zoom, my video figured out by then. I have such struggles with that. You have to forgive me.
Oh,
Now that
that's
we're
no
not on Zoom
worries.
as much, well, you guys are
Yeah.
probably on Zoom a lot. Do you do most of your meetings by Zoom?
Yes, that's what we use here at KVEC usually, but schools will use a combination of Zoom, Google Classroom. KDE uses Microsoft a lot of the time, Teams. So there's a lot of variety, different things.
And I'm also happy, I just want to let you all know, even though you're further away, I'm happy to come over to your areas and do a little talk in person, like a parent night or something. Like maybe if you had a cluster of counties, I've done that before. If they're close to each other, we could have a little parent night and talk about some opportunities in the fall. I'm happy to do that as well. Actually, I love going to the schools. That's one of the things I love most about doing this whole program is going out into the schools and talking with the families. So
Well,
I
that's
apologize
wonderful.
for my throat. I got a little throat frog in my throat today.
Oh, it's spring. That's, that's some nice
I
pollen
think
for you.
that's part of it. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time. I know I'm already over, but
Oh, you're
thank you
fine.
so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the invite. We'll definitely have, I'm sure some of our districts will take you up on coming and sharing with parents. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely. You all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Different thank yous in the chat there for you, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you. All right, I'm signing off.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, that was great information. Now, let me see. It's Monday, so I'm struggling myself here. So we'll go back to sharing. I'm sharing this out. Okay. So we had Miss Wilson join us today, which was great. So glad to have her with us. We do have Tammy Toms going to be joining us from Bullock County, and she's not on yet because I told her to join at 10. No, I told her to join at 11 because Eastern time, so she should be on here in just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and go through some of our other slides, and as soon as Tammy jumps on, we will hand it over to her to let her discuss how she is the Infinite Campus coordinator. Kevin and Kathy brought this up last month, and they actually are sending messages to GT parents through Messenger on Infinite Campus. And so that was one of the things that you all expressed an interest to hear more about. So as soon as she's on, and that'll probably be closer to 11 that she will jump on, we'll go ahead and go on with our other slides. And so the first one is always like to do a little check-in and see, just a little friendly, fun thing. So what is your favorite thing about spring? Do you love Easter? Which, that's my favorite holiday, of course, with that one. So I would definitely have a 1 on that one. So you can drop in the chat and you can pick multiple ones. I kind of basically like all of these myself. The time change, I can't go without the time change. But I do love having more light of during the day. So 1 and 2, we see some 1 and 2s. Oh, a 5 and a 4. So you like the time change. You like having that more daylight at the end, and gardening. Oh, I love the garden. I don't do it, but I love it. Michelle, you are a 3, 2, 1. A lot of us do like the spring sports with baseball and all the fun, biking, kites, flying kites. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can do in spring. Several 1s and 2s. Yes, big Easter's my favorite. Like I said, love it, love it. But you all are welcome to use that slide, or share it, or change it as you would like on that one. But I just love to kind of do just a little thing for us to kind of think of some happy thoughts here. But moving on. All right, Pam, I'm going to stop sharing and let you share, and I'll watch for Tammy while you're talking.
Okay.
And see it when she comes on. So I'm going to stop sharing and let you take over.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mary. All right, so we had our GT Cadre leaders meeting, and there was just some things that I wanted to share out with you all. The first one is she really encouraged us to use our spotlight submission form. She really talked about the need for getting ourselves out there, sharing your programs. What are you doing really well? This is one that came from the Kentucky School for the Deaf. They celebrated the leadership accomplishments of one of their students in the spotlight. And she just talked about, she just really encouraged you all to use that tool. Sorry, it's a little jumpy. Let me go back here. So this is our book discussion that we are doing, Unlocking Potential. And this is a really good book if you want to pick this one up. It really talks a lot about the students that are in poverty but are gifted. And it talked about opportunities to provide scholarships for them, financial assistance. It emphasized relationship building with families and partners, with schools and universities. Also, in chapter 9, we did like a little chapter by chapter, talked about career counseling, and that explored some assisting low-income GT students to apply for colleges. And it also talked about the importance of mentorships and ways to help students investigate careers. And then chapter 10, they talked about psychosocial skills and coping strategies such as resilience, grit, and mindset. So it's a really good book if you want to pick that one up. Let's see down here. And then the State Council for Gifted and Talented Education, some of the updates there. She talked about some of the officers. Julia Roberts was chair. Hannah England is the vice chair, and Lindsay Burton is the secretary. So that was just some updates there. Then there was updates on some things that they recommended to KDE, and some of the recommendations were, let me see here, to examine GT funding data, review training guidance on identification and referral and district guidance, and to provide support to districts through funding allocation, GT endorsement, and GT training. So those were some of the recommendations that they had to the KDE. Then we had the twice exceptional students, communication and training. Let's see here. Okay, twice exceptional students. Information has been communicated through several presentations and trainings. There is a twice exceptional presentation and video posted on the GT Coordinator One Stop. So check out that One Stop because there's a presentation on there about that. Keep going up instead of down, Mary, sorry.
It's okay.
All right, so the State Advisory Council, there's some vacancies in those roles, parent of gifted and talented, visual and performing arts, principals, private business sectors, and there's the link to, and I'll put all of these in our website when Mary shares out into the folder. But there's the application for those.
Did they share a cutoff date on that, Pam? Of like when the applications are due for that?
Oh, let's see. They did not, but we
Okay.
can try to find that out and send that out to everyone.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, then there's the school report card. you can access data for gifted and talented students on the school report card now. And Kathy shared out how you could do that. And she said she would be more than welcome to or phone calls or emails to help you if you need help with that on accessing that data. It's a little jumpy. Okay, then we had our communications announcements and end of the year. Let's see here. So let's see. Some of the announcements included the Gifted and Education Proclamation, and it talked about how that, let's see, let me find my place, I'm so sorry. February was Gifted Education Month in Kentucky, and to kick off the event, the Gifted Education Proclamation was held at the Capitol Rotunda in Frankfort on February the 13th. Students from the Craft and Gatton Academies shared thoughts about gifted education and performed for the Lieutenant Governor, Jacqueline Coleman. She signed the Gifted Education Proclamation. Let's see. Kathy gave a presentation at the CAGE conference, and it was called Talent Detectives, Uncovering and Identifying High Potential Students. It was about screening and identifying students for the gifted program. Participants shared screening and identification processes. There were many sessions at the CAGE conference, including several sessions on AI. Then Heather Hicks, one of the GT Cadre leaders, was given the award for GT Coordinator of the Year. Congratulations to Heather. And then Sadie Preston from Lincoln County Schools was awarded the CAGE Distinguished Student Service Award. So congratulations to Sadie. Some of the announcements. There have been several announcements regarding student opportunities and scholarships in the weekly news you can use, email. And she wants us to go back and review some of those in the email or find them posted on the GT Coordinator One Stop. Also, there's information about student opportunities, such as the WKU's summer camps, which Jennifer shared with us earlier. Other opportunities are Young Women Lead and Young Scholars Program and the Jack Kent Cook Foundation. Okay, and then we had from WKU, the Center for Gifted Students. She talked about Super Saturdays, the summer camp for academically talented middle school students, and the summer program for verbally and mathematically precocious youth, which I think Jennifer shared that earlier as well. Okay, some of the end of the year announcements and important dates. May 31st is the data and record cleanup correction. So that's the deadline. It runs from April the 1st through May 31st. So keep that in mind, that deadline for cleaning up those records and data. June 1st, all end of the year reports are due. June 30th is the last day to enter GT records. That will count for data on the school report card for the current school year. And then after June 30th, GT records can be entered to prepare for the upcoming school year. So those are some important dates to remember. And then There's a reminder, the GT consultant open office hours. If you need information on accessing anything from the school report card or any other support, these are those hours that she has us share out. And like I said, Kathy's always so welcome and inviting. She will help us in any way, she said. So these are just some Tuesday at 11 to noon and Wednesday 2:30 to 3:30 are those open office hours. And she encourages us to use their services there. And that's all I had, Mary. Do you have anything? Does anybody have any questions about the share out that we had on March the 13th?
That was helpful to me, the due dates for all of the reports and things. That was helpful to know that. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I will, like I said, we will get that out on our main Google Slides so that you can have that information as well. Thank you, Michelle. Any other questions?
I think we're good. Thank you, Pam. So appreciate you
Oh, you're
going
welcome.
over that. I will, you can, if you'll stop sharing,
Sure will.
and then I will.
There we go.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So, great information. Yes, that end of year reporting, those reports, there's several to go through and do, and they usually, do you remember if she said anything about the end of year reporting training? Because they usually put something out, I guess in April is when that usually is. Did she mention anything about that to kind of help new people who are having to go through and do those reports for the first time? And it's really good instruction about how to go through and do each one of those, because there's a couple of reports to do, but they usually share out a video about how to go about that. So that can be a question we can ask Kathy for you all. Just keep
Yeah.
watching, you all. There's Miss Tammy. Thank you, Tammy, for joining us today. Perfect timing.
Yeah. Oh, good. Hold on just a second. Can you hear me?
There you are. I see
Okay.
you.
Hey.
Awesome. Do you have a PowerPoint to share with us to kind of show people how to go about doing this, or are you going to
Well,
talk to?
I do, and I can share it with you afterward, but I was actually going to go into my sandbox because
Oh, cool.
it is so simple. So like anyone that's on here that's familiar with Messenger I mean, it's so simple, but I can definitely
Great.
send you the PowerPoint I did at the GT meeting. It's just a short little one page. It's very simple.
Oh, that will be perfect. And we're recording this so they can go back and listen to it
Oh,
and kind of
sure.
watch you and go along with you as you're showing this. That will be perfect. So let me
Okay.
stop sharing and I'm going to let you take it away there.
Okay,
But thank you
great.
for taking time. We just want to, we
Oh,
appreciate you jumping on with us to share this, because
yeah.
some people saw you at Gage last month and
Uh-huh.
we're talking about, what a wonderful uh, thing to be able to do Messenger in Infinite Campus. So thank you for
Oh,
just taking time out.
yes. Yes, absolutely. So let me share my screen.
Perfect. That's even better, Sandbox. Woohoo.
Okay, can you see my sandbox screen?
Yes, we can see it. Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to actually work out of one school. I know depending on, I don't know who's on here, your coordinators, I'm sure if they're a GT coordinator, have access to all schools. If it's a teacher, they're going to have specific access to their school. So the first thing that I do starting as an SS admin is I have an ad hoc folder created for my GT teachers so we can create that's a whole nother ball game on ad hoc reporting and training. But if anyone needs to reach out to someone who knows it, can create reports that can be easily accessible for any coordinators, teachers, anything for them to use. So down in my ad hoc reporting, I actually have GT filters that they can use. I have primary talent pool filters. I have them separated out. So that way they'll work at whichever school they're pulling for. It doesn't need to be tied to a specific school. So up here, I'm using the new look. So I apologize if there's anyone still in the classic look, but I'm pushing over because we're going July 1st district-wide to the new look for us. But up here in communication, so in the new look, that's where you're going to find Messenger 2.0. So if you open up communication and you go under Messenger here, and you're going to go to Messenger 2.0. This is your general landing page. So keep in mind before you start this, just to have those ad hocs built that you need. So I'm just going to show you just really, literally this takes 60 seconds to build a general message. And we want to do by email. In my district, we only have email through IC. We use a different service for text and phone calls. But if you wanted to send something as a coordinator out, you can choose your email. Here, make sure if you have multiple school calendars to select the calendar that you have access to. So if you only have access to one school, it's only going to give you one school. But if you are a coordinator that has access to multiple schools, you can choose multiple schools if you want to send this out district-wide to all of your GT students in grade 4th through 12th, okay? But I'm going to keep mine at just my one school so I can show you the difference on what it looks like. Okay, so I'm up here in Pleasant Grove Elementary. This school year, I have my selected calendar and I'm going to send an email to my parents. Here are your two options here. If you are going to send a message to your high school students or middle school, say you want the student to get it and you want the parent to get it, you're going to choose send to students and send to messenger contacts. What messenger contacts means is any parent or guardian in IC that's marked as a guardian and they have the portal checkbox and they have messenger, when you see on that relationship screen. So just make sure that messenger is marked and that parent guardian is marked. That's the only thing that pulls there. So what I'm going to do is send it to my messenger contacts at Pleasant Grove. I have 661 students there, but of course I only want to send them to my GT. So I'm going to do a custom selection here. Do you still see my pop-up boxes here? Okay.
Yes.
So here is where I'm going to select my filters. So here's your ad hoc filter button. I'm going to select my filter. Now I jotted down because here is everything, like all the ad hocs I have access to. Folders and folders. A lot of people might not have that many, but since I do, I always jot down my name. So if you just kind of search and you know the name of your ad hoc that you created, here is my elementary GT ad hoc that I want to send to for students at Pleasant Grove Elementary. Well, when I choose that ad hoc and I say update, now keep in mind, you see this number here, and I say update, it's going to ask you one more time, do you want to update? Yes. It moved my student selection to 19. So those 19 students, parent or guardians that have messenger marked, that is who will receive this email. That's how simple it is.
That's kind of lets you do a check of who is going to get it.
Yeah, and then you can also
Perfect.
see, your recipients list here. Now that I've narrowed this down to 19, here's my recipient list. Here's my 19 GT students in 4th and 5th grade at that elementary school. And you can also do it for, like I said, build you an ad hoc for your primary talent pool. If there's information for those 3rd grade PTP students that are coming up and they're going to take that big test, to see if they qualify in 4th grade. It's just building those ad hocs just by grade level. A lot of people can start over here down in ad hoc reporting, the state published folder. There's all kinds of GT ad hocs down there that you could make your admin make a copy of. Like once you copy it, you can kind of play with it and change it and, make different grade level ad hocs that you want to do and send out. But the GT coordinators, if they're set in all schools, and then when they get to that email and choose those calendars, like they could send it out to all 2,000 of their GT students at once if they have something, an event or anything that they want to send out. But I mean, that's how easy. It's just basically having an ad hoc built and choosing that ad
Wow.
hoc in Messenger.
So like when you go to the next, is that actually the template of the email
Yes,
that
so
it would
here
be?
is here. Let me go ahead and pull in my um here's my so when you do next here, so there's your message subject here.
Hmm.
Here's your message body here.
Just like a
So,
regular email.
yep, so simple. Before you do anything, you can send yourself a test email here. So like
Nice.
a lot of times if I put things on here and I put links, because you can actually insert links, everything's like that in your email. If you go down here at the bottom, you want to preview to your email, you can send yourself a test email. Make sure it looks okay. Make sure
That's
that send it
nice.
to you, your links work, make sure it looks okay. Um, you can do campus fields in here if you want to include the parent's name. Um, but here, when you go to this next page, you can either send that now or you can schedule a one time. So, like, say I wanted to send an email out, but don't want to get bombarded with phone calls, and you don't want the school to get bombarded with phone calls, you can choose the time, the date and time. So, if you want to wait till 4:30 to send that email out to
Gotcha.
parents, you could.
Oh, that's awesome. That is a wonderful tool. Now, um, since you're the Infinite Campus guru on this part,
Right.
um, the GT person really just kind of needs to go like, so our people that would like to do this, they could actually have this video and play through it with their Infinite Campus
Oh,
people
yeah.
to kind of get help. Now the ad hoc reports, I know what you're talking about because I used Infinite Campus. I know you could make all kinds of ad hocs.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
would that be where would you think would be the easiest place to find information on building those ad hocs now? Because I've been out of it a few years.
Well, I would highly recommend for everyone to start with their SIS admin,
Okay.
that probably either does multiple trainings on, because I had multiple trainings throughout the school year on this. So
Mm-hmm.
to start with them, um, or if they have someone else that assists them to help,
Mm-hmm.
because ad hocs, it is very complex. It's
Yes.
precise. If you don't exactly choose the correct functions, sequences, things like that, it's not going to pull
Mm-hmm.
correctly. So I would definitely start with your SS admin, because, I build a lot for people, and I always tell people, like, number one rule, everyone's super busy. If they're going to spend more than 10 minutes trying to figure a report out and it can't be built, I always beg them, just call me, because I can send you the report, put it in your ad hoc filters. But yeah, definitely start out with your sys admin, and because I'm sure that they have documentation. And also over here, I'm not for sure if this works in the sandbox, but just so everyone knows. So like if you're on here and you need information on anything, this question mark up here in Infinite Campus, if there are any study guides or video tutorials that go along with the page that you're on, this is where they'll be. I don't think it works in the sandbox, but it does say there's nothing here. But then and there is in the live site. And then when you click that on, it would list everything. It gives you study guides, and and ad hoc does that too. Video tutorials, study guides, things like that, that would get you started on that.
Perfect.
Because ad hoc's one of those things where it's multiple trainings a lot of times to get people comfortable with it.
Yes. Okay. That sounds awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. So that is a great way to utilize
Mhm.
Infinite Campus that already has all those parent contacts already marked for them to be able to
Yes.
get those emails. That is a super way to be able for GT coordinators and teachers to
Yeah.
communicate with parents. I love it.
Well, and if teachers, if a lot of parents say they didn't get things, like, just remind everyone that's the first place to look. Go to that
Hmm.
student's relationship tab, make sure they're marked, as for messenger. So that way and they're
Gotcha.
marked as a parent guardian so that they're getting those messages.
Gotcha. Now let me ask one more question. You being the Infinite Campus guru, what does the GT teacher rights need to be marked for them to be able to go in and create that message?
Well, for for an SIS admin on that GT teacher group, they will notice in tool rights there is a Messenger 2.0. So they're going to give them read and write access to that. And that way they'll
Okay.
actually have that in their available index for that. And all admins, SIS admins are familiar with that. As soon as you
Gotcha.
let any of them know, they'll know.
Okay. That sounds perfect. I just want to make sure, are there any other, does anybody else have any particular questions for Tammy? And Tammy, just thank you for taking the time to do this, because
you're
this is a
welcome.
great
Yeah.
way to help make it easier for people to communicate. That's awesome.
Oh,
And it
absolutely.
automatically, I was thinking, like, what I used to do is I would make an email group, but that changes every year, and I would have to go back in my
Sure.
email, whereas this
Sure.
automatically updates for me. So
Yes.
huge convenience. That is wonderful. But does anybody
Yes.
else have questions for Tammy before we let her go? And there will be a recording so that you can share this and go sit down with your Infinite Campus, your SIS person in district, and kind of play this and let them listen to kind of help facilitate getting this working for you all.
Oh yeah, and trust me, as soon as like every district reaches out to them and lets them know, hey, we need rights to Messenger 2.0, they're gonna immediately know. It'll be a really quick, easy process for everybody.
Great.
Okay.
Great. I love it. Thank you, Tammy.
All right, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
your
No
time.
problem. Have a good day.
You too. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Wow. I would have loved to have had access to that.
I'm sorry, I'm
Wonderful.
trying to unshare my screen. If you can block it with me, hold on.
Okay. All righty. Let me see. Let's see.
Can I ask a question real fast?
Sure.
Yeah.
What would be the easiest way? Like I'm the coordinator and the teacher, so I have all schools. Would it be easier to make an ad hoc like group for each school, or would it just be easier to do one for all primary talent pool and one for like maybe 4 through 8, and then one for 9 through 12? What do you think would be the easiest way to do groups?
I mean, the easiest thing for you as a coordinator, if you're going to have information you're sending out district wide, I mean, you could choose all schools and use one ad hoc filter, but I would go ahead if I was you and create a GT group 4th through 12th, and probably do you a K through 3rd primary talent pool group. And then if you only specifically have something that needs to go out to middle school, when you're in as a GT coordinator and you have access to all schools, only choose your middle schools. And then it's only going to pull the students for those school anyway.
Okay.
It
Thank
all
you
just
so
depends
much.
on the school that you have checked. So that's why I said one filter really would work for practically anything, depending on if you're pulling by the schools.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you, Tammy.
All right. Have a good day, guys. I'm gonna hop off here.
All right. Appreciate you.
Uh-huh.
Well, that was great information. You would have to update it every year, but it wouldn't be the same. You'd have to update your ad hoc every year, but it still would be easier than doing your own, I would think, in like your making your contact groups in Microsoft. I love it. That is wonderful. So you do have that recording. I am going to talk to the holler guys about maybe fuzzing out the names so that when it shows in the presentation, those names are blocked just for, protection, because of just making sure that all is well and good. But so it might take a couple of days for that recording for us to drop it in to the folder for you all, but just want to make sure. And I know a lot of you all are so good at memory, you all can go back and do that yourselves. But I did notice it is in the new view, and I always use the old view. So I don't know how many, making that switch, that's always a challenge at times. But great. Well, we are almost done. Yay. Awesome. Let me share my screen here. Alrighty. So now this is what Pam was talking about. And she mentioned the OSIL news you can use, which is on the GT Padlet, but it's also in these slides. And these are the different things that were in the March 20th as options for GT specific. And so you can see the Hormel, and I actually have some of these already linked for you so that you all can check those out if you want to. But just some really neat opportunities, some for you, some for your students. So just kind of keep that in mind, looking at some of these. But that gives you some different options. The Davidson Young Scholars Program. Notice the deadlines are coming on that one. That's April 11th, so that's not too far away, and it is for ages 5 through 18. Also, the National History Academy. Now, that little short video, I dropped it in the chat for you, so you can watch it later if you want to have that pulled up. But that just seems like a really neat experience, especially for some of our kids. Notice it says 90 rising 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students, and based just outside of Washington, D.C. So it's a 4-week academy. For some of our kids, that can be a great thing, especially kids who might be identified for GT and social studies. That would be a wonderful opportunity. But it has a nice little video. Like I said, it's linked there, and then also the website. But just some things for you to be aware of, and most of you probably already do know these. The other thing in the newsletter was all the things Jennifer Wilson talked with us about with SCATS, VAMPI, the Explore and the Innovate websites. So just making sure that you all are aware of those, making sure those are communicated out. And believe it or not, some of our parents are willing to take our little kids for that 1-week camp, and they may have family in Western Kentucky. The thing I always say is I'd rather know about it and have that it being their choice and not me making that choice for them, but making sure these opportunities are shared, because there are financial assistance available. Yes, it is in Western Kentucky, I know, but we would have students. I had different kids that were first, second grade that they would be going to the Super Saturdays. And the parents loved being able to provide that, especially the Super Saturdays. Those you'll see in the fall and February. That's just a 1-night stay for a lot of them, and it lets that kid go in. So some of your parents would be very much about that. So just making sure they're aware that these opportunities are out there for them. Miss Michelle, would you care to share about this slide for us? Because, you all are always, I love it when you all share things that are going on, like Kevin and Kathy let me know that they have 90 some students at like something for art today. So they are going to be sharing that hopefully next month with us, but just sharing around some of the things that you all are doing. Love it. Always appreciate it. But Michelle, could you talk about your mastery class that you did with your local photographer?
Yes, I've been a primary teacher, then I went to 4th and 5th grade. So that elementary is kind of my thing. So I've just taken over this job and tried to think of ways that or activities I could do with high schoolers. And so I started thinking of a master class of just getting some, experts or people that are really good at something, and trying to get them in so that they could do a class with our high schoolers, and then give the students a chance to do things with whatever the class is. And so I talked to one of our local photographers. His name's Jonah Deaton. It's JD Photography. Some of you may have heard of him before. And so he came in and did a class with our students, and they were so excited about it. And he brought his cameras, let them use his cameras. And he first talked to him. He had a PowerPoint and talked to him about different techniques and things. And then he actually took them out and let them start taking pictures. So it was just a wonderful evening, and they really enjoyed it. So we're going to try to plan on some different ones the rest of the semester. A lot of them are interested in cooking, and so we're going to try to get somebody in to do that, and also maybe a local artist and do like a lit night. So that's just something coming up.
Love that. That is such a cool thing. Oh my goodness, love it. Wonderful. I know different ones of you do similar things to this, but just getting kids exposed. Michelle, do you all have like a class that the kids are all in, or do they just get pulled to be able to come and do this outside like at another time? I was just kind of thinking of a scheduling thing for
Yeah,
me on that one.
we don't have one, so I did it after school. Most of the things that I'll be doing with them will be after school, and so, and then we're also working on some clubs to do. They've talked about some things that they're interested in, and um, we're going to do those too. So,
Oh, but I love that you're exposing them to something like photography, because I mean, you could spark that interest, and who knows, that might be some path they go down. Um, One that I do remember that was done that was really, really popular, but it was like if you go to some of your Asian restaurants that do sushi, and some of them do food art as well. So it kind of combines food and art, and like they showed like this one man, he came and showed him how to make the roses out of certain types of fruits, and just so combining some of those as well. So if they have an interest in food and they like art, you can actually do some things with food art. And so that was there at it was Peking, that they let somebody come out and kind of show the kids how to do some stuff with the food, and do some really cool neat things with it. So I love that. I love mastery classes, and I love that you're doing it after school. Opens it up. So love it, love it, love it. And who's to say? I know some of you are thinking, well, Super Saturdays, they can't, you could do your own Super Saturday, have different people come in from the community and let them have like a little class maybe for certain grade levels. I mean, that's something to think about, and maybe partner with another district and have some people come in and share some of their talents, because our communities are so talented with different whether it be photography, whether it be quilting, baking, chefs, you name it, we've got the talent here. So that's an awesome thing. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. That is wonderful. Love it. And if anybody else, one thing I always mention too, Jerica, she would have, which I thought was such a cute idea, of having some of her art students go decorate storefronts, let the art kids do a storefront decoration like at the holidays, and those types of things. If Jerica, you wanted to share any more on that, I know you've done that with different things.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We usually do Christmas and Halloween, but this year, um, one of our local businesses has asked if we would do child abuse prevention awareness, and do like paint the town blue and do like pinwheels and stuff like that. So, and normally I will take our kids like on a bus and let them do that, but sometimes I can't go. And there are a lot of students who like get up with the businesses and have actually been hired by some of the businesses to do like on their own time. A lot of my seniors mostly, and some who have graduated have come back and they get hired every year to do stuff like this. So I think that's really neat.
That is huge, and they're getting to do something they love, like doing the art. I love that. Awesome, awesome. The other thing that I had on here is, a lot of you probably know about this. Now, this is not Camp Innovate. This is Camp Invention. And this is something that you can actually sign up to do at your own school district. So Pikeville does this one. I think Miss Clevenger got off. I was going to let her talk about that. But it is something that they do. But I'm going to drop this information in the chat for you so that you've got those links if you want to click on those. And they'll be also on the PowerPoint if you forget. But they have their Camp Invention date, June 9th through the 13th. And students can apply and register to go attend that, because it is a big undertaking. There's a lot, because there's like a registration, a cost. You need to get other teachers involved to be able to teach, and they get stipends related to that. So if you would be interested in doing your own, that would be something you would want to research. But if you just want to make sure your kids know that that's an option on June 9th through 13th, my daughter did Camp Invention all the way through elementary. As soon as she could, she started going. And then when she was in high school, she was a camp counselor. And so it offers some opportunities for students. So just a neat activity, very STEM focused. I like that we have the national history option as well that students can do if they have a focus in social studies, because a lot of times we don't see that so much, but that is a great opportunity for students to apply for in social studies. This is a nice one for students to apply if they have a science, math thing. And then, of course, let's not forget all the WKU, the Gifted Centers, the VAMPy, the SCATs, the Explorers, and the Innovate as well. Just want to remind you of the resources that you have, the GT Padlet and the folder in our PL calendar. We're updating that on a regular basis with different things that we are providing. I am going to throw it out to you all because I'm talking with KDE representative with visual and performing arts standards. Those have been revised. And so we're working with KDE to provide maybe a training regionally for our art, music, teachers, dance, theater, so that they can go through and have someone guide them through the changes if they are interested in that. So do have that coming up as well. What is next? Trying to think. Okay. Topics for next meeting. We had Jennifer Wilson here today, so I'll take that off. And we had Tammy Toms from Bullitt County to talk about Infinite Campus and that messenger. We're going to be watching that one stop for end of year reporting because we know those dates are coming up. Funding sources. There's grants. We have that on the Padlet. And Pam, we need to make sure that grant competition, if you'll look and make sure the competitive grants, because there's a travel one right now available that is due here in April. That might be a really good opportunity for you all to do like a little look and see, maybe for a travel grant for it seems like it's more for teachers and admin to go travel and see things. So just be aware that that is available. And I think it's April, I can't remember what date, but that is coming up and that is due here soon. And I think it's up to $3,000 maybe. I could be off, but that is available now. Tom Cravens contacted us and he would like to be at our April meeting. They have some new summer opportunities that they thought GT people would be really interested in. So we're going to have Tom with us. He is still there. He had thought about retiring, but I think he's still there part-time. So we're going to have Tom on with us and some of their team to talk about upcoming things for the summer that is going on. And Pam has dropped in the chat for you all that competitive grants page. Let's see. There it is, the KYILN. So it's due April 24th, and you can get up to $3,000. Notice it is a travel grant to support travel to model schools or exemplary conferences that promote and concern learner-centered and innovative practices at their programmatic core. So that would be a really good one for you all to apply for. Just let your district people know. Because there's usually a sign off that you have to get admins to sign off on those, but just that's a great one. So just be aware that that's out there for you all. What else? I think that's it. But are there any other topics? Is there anything else that you all would like for us to make sure that you want to make sure that we try to get on the agenda for next time? We do have Tom Cravens. I was kind of wondering a little bit if you might want me to get one of the holler guys. But AI, I know you all saw some things at Gage, but I had not seen Notebook LM till was that last week? No, it was the week before. On the 13th, I was at the March Leadership, and they shared with us that this Notebook LM, if you've not seen it, I'll drop it in. But it is an option for AI. And what I like about this one, and it is really weird of how that it does, you can like we uploaded one of the forms for PLCs from our March leadership meeting and asked it to make a podcast, and it actually made a podcast using that document. And it sounds like legit. I mean, it sounds like real people. It's a little scary, honestly, talking about the PLC. So we just like, if you like to listen to podcasts, or that's an easy way for you to be able to go on and do something else but listen to something maybe you're wanting to read, you can upload that information and it can create a podcast for you to kind of understand a topic that maybe you don't have time to read that day. And what's even more neat is you can hit join and ask it a question and it will answer your question. It is really interesting to go through. So that might be something you all might would want us to maybe get one of the holler guys to do. But I also wanted to talk to you all about our next meeting date is April 28th. So that's Tom Cravens will be with us there. And if you all have any other suggestions, just let me know. But the other thing is May 19th, we are moving it, but we can talk about this at April. But I would really kind of like our May meeting date for those that could be here, we could do a hybrid meeting, but in person. But the Holler guys are getting a new space here at KVEC, and they are working on getting it updated. And they're going to share it at the superintendent meeting in May, but I was kind of thinking maybe having a day where you all could come and see their new space of what they're developing and putting in place. So I'll check with them on maybe a date. And if you all would like to move our May meeting date to where it could be hybrid, oh, that would be nice. Oh, yay, Tammy, thank you. So we will work on maybe changing the May date, kind of talk, because that's going to be near the end of school. It might need to go to June. That's going to be a conversation for us to have. But for us just to come in and let you all see the space and the things that they're going to be able to offer, because they're working on getting that in place. And let's just kind of have an in-person meeting. But now I do understand some people have got things they'll do, so we can still probably do the hybrid but to really get the feel of what's going to be offered here, it would be great if you could be in person. You're going to be teaching. How cool for you that you're going to be doing scats. Awesome, Amber. Good for you. Awesome, awesome. Love it when people branch out. So May would be a better date. Okay, I will take a look and talk to them and see when we can get that to happen. We may also, we talked about maybe having a couple of open houses in the summer too. So teachers could come in and take a look, or admin, just to see the space and know what's happening with it. But the 28th is Tom Creighton. So we'll have him with us here online so that he can talk to us about what things they have coming up at the Challenger Center, which is always a great resource for you all and our kids. Because Jerica, we know you've done some great things with the robotics, and Tammy, I know you started some stuff, I believe, with that too. And so just neat opportunities we just want to make sure everybody knows about and that our kids can participate in. And I believe that's it. Yay, we're done a little bit early. Hey, always we'll take that, won't we? So I'm going to drop in the chat the feedback for you so that you have that. Okay, you've asked, okay, so that you'll let them know ASAP. Okay, so that will be a possibility. Awesome. Thank you, Pam. So she's checking on that end of year training. So we're going to drop in the chat, the feedback survey. Yay. Awesome. Wonderful. I will be on a Girl Scout trip to Hershey, Pennsylvania during the April meeting, but please tell Tom Cravens I said hello, because we do love Tom, don't we? He is awesome. But I just dropped the feedback survey in the chat, so if you'll fill that out, give us some tips of how to make this space better for you all. But those are some things that we have coming up that we want to make sure that you all are aware of. And just thank you for being here today. And like I said, we'll drop this recording in as soon as we can get it done, so that, but we do want to gray out some of the names is what we're going to do, or do something with those, make them fuzzy to where they can't be read. But thank you for being here today. Appreciate you all and all you do for our GT students, and more for all kids we know in our region. So thank you, and have a great day. If you have any questions, please stay on, talk to us. But so glad you made it today.